So Donald Trump campaigned on nostalgia. Let's bring back the past, right? Let's make America great again. And sure enough, he's brought back the deaths of the pandemic in 1918, and he's brought back the despair of the Great Depression in 1929. What new hell is he going to bring next? Check this out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Donald Trump campaigned on nostalgia for the past. We're going to make America great again. And sure enough, he has brought us the past. He has brought back the deaths, the widespread deaths associated with the pandemic of 1918. He has brought back unemployment, hunger, poverty, economic distress and despair and disaster across the nation, as we saw in the Republican Great Depression of 1929. He's brought back the rise of white supremacy. And white supremacist organizations are reorganizing and reinventing themselves the way the Klan did in the 1870s after the failure of Reconstruction. He's brought back the race riots of the 1960s and once again setting our cities on fire, which raises the question that I toss to you. What else do you think Trump is going to bring back? Is he going to bring back another world war? We've had two of those. Is he going to bring back another smaller war with some other country? We've had, we had the War of 1812. We had a war with Canada and England. We had a war with Spain in Cuba with the Spanish-American War. We had a war with Mexico. Is that on his agenda? Is he going to try and bring back the Civil War? I think he thought that was a great time for America. Only 700,000 Americans died there. He's already killed over 104,000 of us. Or his negligence has led to the death of 104,000 of us, while other countries, like Australia and Taiwan, have fewer than a couple dozen people dead in the same period of time. I mean, it's just what is it going to be? Or is he going to take us in an entirely new direction, taking us back to the past of some other country? For example, is he going to try to repeat the rise of fascism in Europe? Is he going to make America like Italy was in 1928? Or is he going to try to bring back a military coup like el-Sisi did in Egypt or like Pinochet did in Chile? Or is he planning on a new brutal takedown, a crackdown like in Tiananmen Square? I mean, this guy's still got 6 months to go, assuming Congress doesn't impeach him, which I think is pretty safe to assume. So, between now and January, what kind of holy hell can he bring down on this country? It's frankly a very troubling question. There was a post this morning that I thought was particularly humorous is not quite the right word, but Helen Kennedy was tweeting this morning a photo. Actually, Jackson Proskow tweeted the photo originally of this line of police surrounding the White House right now with their shields that they're holding and whatnot. And it turns out they're prison guards. He's brought federal prison riot control officers to surround the White House. Is this Donald Trump getting ready for his post-presidency? He's just kind of getting used to being surrounded by prison guards? One could hope, I suppose. Our frequent caller to the program, Kenyatta, sent me a note this morning pointing out, and I did not know this. This frankly shocked me, that in the 240-year history of the United States, there's a Wikipedia category for this. It's American police officers convicted of murder. In 240 years, how many police officers have been convicted of murder? 20. And several of them were serial killers. Several of them killed their wives. A couple of them were killing people on behalf of the mob. I haven't gone through the whole entire list. We kind of ran out of time this morning, but I had not, when I was a little more than halfway through that list of the 20 of them, I still hadn't seen a single one who was convicted of killing a black man. Just absolutely incredible. David Sirota does a newsletter called Too Much Information, TMI. It's over, I'm not sure the exact website for that newsletter, but I'm sure that there's a link to it at davidsirota.com. And, David just does great work. David and I have worked together over the years in radio. He used to be involved with Air America Radio. He used to have a show on our Air America affiliate in Denver. And he has a list of things that we should be doing right now. And I want to share this with you because I think it's brilliant. A list of things that we could do to deal with the crisis right now that we have of these police riots. I mean, we saw the police riot in '68 in Chicago. We're now seeing police rioting all over the United States. The vast majority, in fact, I would say probably close to 100% of the violence inflicted on persons across the United States over the past 8 days has been done by police officers. And so David Sirota has some suggestions, and Bernie Sanders has some suggestions. Actually, let me go through Bernie's suggestions first. Bernie has just proposed legislation, and he wrote about this in a letter to Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. He said, we need to, and these are the bullet points in his letter. Number one, we need to amend federal civil rights laws to allow for more effective prosecution of police misconduct. Right now, the standard for prosecuting a police officer is willfulness. We need to change that to recklessness. Number two, we need to abolish qualified immunity. I wrote an op-ed about this that was published yesterday in Alternate. It went up on LA Progressive this morning. It's on other websites around the country. You can read that. Number three, prohibit the transfer of offensive military equipment to police departments. In other words, end Reagan's 1033 program. By the way, Obama had ended that program, and Trump reinstated it. Number four, we need to strip federal funds from any police department that violates civil rights. Number five, we need to pay wages that will attract top-tier officers, and kind of in line with what Congressman Pocan was saying just a minute ago, have national standards. I think we should have national licensing, and I think the caller who suggested that police officers should carry their own liability insurance is a really good idea, because then you've got an outside third party, the insurance companies. This is what doctors do. I mean, why is it that doctors have to pass a standardized exam? Doctors have, there's basically two categories of people who literally have your life in their hands, who have the power to kill you, intentionally or accidentally. Police and doctors. And I suppose you could toss nurses into that category, but, it fits. Doctors have to have liability insurance. It's called malpractice insurance. Why don't cops? Well, because of qualified immunity by and large, but let's do away with that and have them insure themselves. And then the insurance companies will say, you've beaten up 3 people. There's no way we're going to give you insurance. They don't have insurance. They can't work anymore. Anywhere in the country as a police officer. It's not in Bernie's list, but I think it should be added. He says, provide funding to states and municipalities to create civilian corps of unarmed first responders to supplement law enforcement. This would be social workers, EMTs, trained mental health professionals. This is to deal with low-level conflicts. Require agencies to make records of police misconduct publicly available. Require all jurisdictions to establish independent police conduct review boards, civilian boards, and give them the authority to report to federal authorities types of abuse, and enhance federal funding for these investigations. And David Sirota's list, I'll get to that after the break, but David Sirota's list continues with a number of other things along those same lines, which I think is just great. By the way, after James Miller, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, resigned yesterday as a result of Mark Esper, the Defense Secretary's participating with Trump in the stunt.